What to do if your ex is an avoidant and they broke up with you and you want to get back together. Just because they broke up with you does not mean that they are an avoidant. Just like it doesn't mean that they're a narcissist. But if you have noticed specifics that suggest to you that your ex is an avoidant, that can mean something and it can be helpful to you getting them back. I have a free quiz on my website. I'll link to that in the description below, or you can go to myexbackcoach.com and you can look under courses and under resources, and you'll be able to find that quiz, but it is for free, and I will have a link in the description below. Number 1, if your ex is an avoidant, focus on experiences and not words. So I'm referring to something that a lot of people get into when they have an avoidant ex, and that is that the ex will linger. They will still contact you every now and then. They seem like they're unsure. They want to be in your life, but then they back away maybe after you two meet up. But the idea is that when and if you get the opportunity to focus on the experience and don't clinicalize things. It's the equivalent to saying, "Can I kiss you?" when everyone in that situation, especially women, don't want you to ask that, guys. And guys don't want you to ask either. They just want you to do it. Both sides. If you want to kiss the person, just go in and do it. And so questions or clinicalizing the relationship, that's where you analyze the heck out of the relationship, the commitment, the future. Those things, if someone is an avoidant or they're just going through an avoidant period, I'm going to say that again, or they're just going through an avoidant period in their life, they don't want that kind of clinicalization and they don't want questions all the time. It's a lot better if you can focus on the experiences that you have with them and not ask questions about their feelings and things like that. Now, certainly a time will come for that, especially if they bring it up. But I encourage you, if you think your ex is an avoidant, you need to do some avoiding. You need to avoid asking too many questions, putting pressure on them, and that kind of thing. And I will get more into that in the points that follow. But we're focusing on this one. You need to make experiences as the most important thing that you two share. Let them enjoy the experience with you. Let them feel that. That is what will keep an avoidant close. That is what will prevent them from going into avoidant tendencies. And it's what can help get them back if you have the opportunity to actually have these experiences with them. And I understand a lot of you don't, but a lot of you do, because I speak to you on coaching sessions, which you can book at myexbackcoach.com. That's myexbackcoach.com for a coaching session with me or my staff. And we can talk to you if you have an avoidant ex, or if you're wondering if your ex is avoidant and how to interact with them when they start reaching out to you, which it's kind of odd. A lot of people who know that their ex is an avoidant, one of the frustrations is that this person does reach out every now and then. They do still involve themselves in your life, and that can be very confusing. Number 2, if your ex is an avoidant and you're in that odd stage where there is still some contact, they do still tell you that they love you, it's not you, you're a wonderful person, it's just so difficult right now. You know, those vague excuses that avoidance will give. And if they're not opposed to interacting with you, or if you already have this, and that is a shared hobby, try to have a shared hobby. And especially if you're not broken up yet, maybe you're just in a state where they're wanting some space, or maybe you are broken up and you do have some contact with them and there's a shared hobby that you two can do together. It's difficult to pitch it unless you've already been doing it some. But if they're willing, a shared hobby with someone who's an avoidant is very beneficial, because it allows you to be together with them, and yet it's a passive presence, meaning that they don't feel like they are on stage. There's not pressure to talk. There's not pressure to meet your expectations. They're just focusing on the shared hobby. Maybe it's going to the driving range or playing golf. Maybe it's tennis. Maybe it's bowling. Maybe it's rock climbing. Maybe it's walking dogs. Maybe it's gardening. I actually have a list on my website for married couples, marriageradio.com. If you go to the search bar there and type in hobbies, you'll see a list of over 200 different hobbies. And it's a great thing to do where the two of you go down the list and you choose 10 hobbies that appeal to you. Maybe you've never even done it before, but you're just curious. And you see if they have any of those same 10. And if you do, pick your top 5. See if you have any of the same top 5. And when you do find one that both of you rate highly, that's the perfect shared hobby, because you will both enjoy it. You'll look forward to it. It's not just going to be the pressure of being together and the expectations, but you actually bond by doing this hobby together. And it sounds really basic, but a lot of people have told me I had no idea how powerful that was, because they get so close to people, even avoidance. Even if your ex is an avoidant, if they're still willing to do some hobbies with you, some of those shared experiences like I talked about in the previous point, it's interesting how a lot of times they will. And that surprises people. But a lot of times an avoidant will agree to do something that kind of gives them that passive presence with you. And they'll actually welcome that. And a lot of times that's surprising because people approach it the wrong way and they try to focus on words and questions and making all this difficulty and pressure on this person when that's not the way to go, but actually focusing on really doing something, a hobby, a shared experience is where you can make the most progress with an avoidant and actually create more of a bond that allows them to not avoid the commitment and the expectations of a relationship. Before I get to number 3, get more information on my emergency breakup kit. It's at myexpatcoach.com. And yes, I do talk about attachment styles in the emergency breakup kit. You can get it at myexpatcoach.com. The link is in the description below. And it's the culmination of my 20 plus years in the relationship coaching service. That's the emergency breakup kit. It's at myexpatcoach.com. Thank you for listening to my commercial and for your support. Number 3, if you're dealing with an avoidant, especially if this person is your ex, it's important that you show your independence. And again, so many of you are talking about having an avoidant ex who just can't seem to fully stay away. They've broken up with you, but they're kind of still there, or they've taken space, or you're noticing distance in your relationship, and that person you're thinking is an avoidant. And again, take a look at my quiz at myexpatcoach.com that you can take for free, and it can give you a good idea if this person is an avoidant. But showing them your independence takes pressure off of them. And of course, most relationships will have little independence, which means you plan your life in many ways around this person and they plan their life around you. And most days you are interacting. You have brought your lives together. And so you are not truly independent. But there is a small element that needs to be there and can be very helpful when your ex or the person who you love is an avoidant, because it takes the pressure off of them. And I'm going to get into this more in a couple of the points that follow. There are 5 points in this video plus a bonus point, so be sure to stick around for that. But you want to take the pressure off of them by having other things that you can do in life, because some people can't take being your number one priority, or at least feeling like it. And if you have other things you're doing with friends or hobbies that you have by yourself or career things, and you're able to take some of that pressure off by just telling them, I'm going to be busy today, that can be really helpful. And that brings me into number 4, announce scarcity. And what I mean by that is you might say, this week is going to be pretty busy because I'm doing this. I have this project. I have this trip. I have this going on with work. And you tell them basically it's going to be difficult for me to get together very often this week. You can use that to set up something where you say, but I'm hoping we could go to dinner Friday night, or I'd like to take you to dinner Friday night, or I hope we can get coffee this week. What day works for you? It basically takes it away and then it gives it back a little bit, which can really help take some of the pressure off. Plus, it also sets up things for the future because they start to feel like that they can actually miss you and not want to avoid you, because you aren't putting that daily pressure on them that they kind of have to perform and that they have to show up or change their plans or make their plans based on the relationship. And so if you announce that scarcity, I'm going to be really busy this week, and you maybe suggest getting together one day or something, or you say, but I can make it up to you next week and I look forward to that. Something like that where it just takes some of the pressure off and lets them know that you're going to be doing your own things, and so they don't feel the responsibility that causes them to feel like they need to pull back. Number 5, and after this point I have a bonus point, which I guess you could call point number 6, but I'm going to call it a bonus point. Number 5 is leverage mystery. So basically, you actually can put a lot of pressure on someone when you give them too many details, but you take pressure off when they're able to ask questions because they take on a role of getting the information. And it's a lot less pressure than if they're just bombarded with it and they're expected to react to it, or they have this new information and now they're wondering how this applies to the relationship. But if you can answer questions where you just leave room for them to ask follow-up questions, or you just don't volunteer a lot of information and you allow them to ask you questions, that can be really helpful. Now, of course, you don't want them to feel like there's pressure on them to carry the conversation. But when these questions are natural, and when you kind of get used to talking to someone like this, where you just don't fully answer the question, you give them enough information to give an answer, but you leave room. And a lot of the things even that you do, if this is a person who's secure and they don't feel jealous when you're doing things that they're not fully aware of, then you can do that as well with your activities. You just want to leave some room for them to wonder about you, for them to ask questions. It's really helpful for an avoidant because they feel like that there's room for them to move and to even move towards you and to explore your emotions, your body, your feelings, things like that. When you leave room for questions, it can get them more active. It can get things more balanced where the dynamic is not one-sided. If it's been one-sided, it can bring it back to balance where both people are showing interest and desire and both people are feeling wanted. So leave some room for mystery. Let them wonder about you. The temptation will be there as you're getting closer to someone to reveal everything. Slow yourself down. Reveal it in small parts. Not only does that make the bond stronger, but it allows them to ask questions and to even come up with questions later, because a lot of times if you get used to leaving room for questions, they will come up with questions and they'll text you. And a lot of times an avoidant doesn't know what to say, and it's one of the reasons that they just seem to back away. They don't know what to do. There's a lot of pressure on them. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to approach this. And so if you leave questions like that can come to them later, they can reach out more to you and text you more, which we all like being texted by someone we're interested in. And that's another way that you can cause that to happen, and you can help pull them out of some of that avoidant tendency. And before the bonus point, remember my emergency breakup kit. It's at myexbackcoach.com. It's a powerful guide to help you get your ex back. The emergency breakup kit at myexbackcoach.com. And also, before I get to the bonus point, if you like this video, please like it so I'll know to do more like this video. And if you like this channel and you want more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. The bonus strategy is that you use positive reinforcement. So when they do come out of that avoidance, when they do participate more, express your appreciation. Now, don't inadvertently cause more pressure by saying, I'm so glad you're not acting like an avoidant. I'm so glad that you're actually participating in this relationship and that I'm not having to carry it all myself. You obviously can't say that. But you can really show appreciation when they do the things you want them to do, when they participate more, when they reach out to you. Say, it's great to hear from you. I like knowing what's going on, and I really liked seeing you for dinner the other night. Basically, you're just giving them some positive reinforcement to show them the way, because a lot of times they don't know if this is what they're supposed to do or that, or if you're appreciating it or if you like it. And so just being clear about that without trying to lecture them on being an avoidant can be really helpful. And even though that sounds really basic, you'd be surprised at how many people on a coaching call, when I ask them if they reward the person when they're doing some of those things, they don't really know what I'm talking about, and we have to go into that. But the idea is you just want to express your appreciation or brag on them or tell them that you're impressed, maybe if they were to be doing some activity where you join them, like a hobby or something like that, and they do really well at it. Praise them. Tell them you're impressed. Say, I didn't know you were that talented at this. Something like that. But the more praise that you can give, the more specific praise, it can help them to know what direction to take. And they can start to realize that there are things that they can do where they don't have to come up with these things because they already know that you like them. This has been Coach Lee. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching.